Hey there, everybody. Welcome into this edition of ESPN FC's Extra Time. We got Stewart, Robson, we got Stevie Nicol, and of course, as always, we have your questions off of Twitter. Before we get to the questions, Stevie, what did you do last night for your celebration?
What I do every night? Had a few beers. I found it really funny. People were sending me messages from when the game finished for about 3 or 4 hours after it, saying, "Oh, you're going to celebrate tonight? You're doing, isn't it?" I'm like, well, to be fair, we celebrated about 4 weeks ago. I'm kind of celebrated out. If I'm truthful, we've got it in the bag. The only thing that matters now is we win it again next year.
Stevie Nicol passing on a party. Never thought we'd see that. All right, Stewart, first question for you. Stewart, should Manchester City stick with Cancelo at left back for the game against Real Madrid, even though, as our writer says, he's not a left back, but he performed way better than Mendy and Zinchenko have throughout the whole season at that position? What do you think about the left back spot for City?
Well, I think he's a right back by trade. He's a good right back. I think he hasn't had a really good chance at Man City so far. But at left back, I still think Mendy or Zinchenko will get the nod before him. It'll be an even battle, but I think they'll get the nod before Cancelo will play at left back in that big game.
Stevie, none of those options real tantalizing, are they?
No, actually, we were talking about this very thing on the show the other day. Quite frankly, it's a toss of a coin between the three of them. You know, Mendy's been about as average as possible. Zinchenko's made probably more mistakes than the other two, and Cancelo, as Robbo says, is a better right back than he is a left back. So, hey, get the darts out instead of tossing the coin and see which name you end up on.
Gentlemen, you've both been coaches, so here's one for both of you. Robbo, I'm coming to you first. What were your biggest frustrations as a coach? Did you find it difficult to coach players who were much less talented than you were?
What I found frustrating were players that didn't have a football brain. So you'd be trying to talk to them and talk about how you wanted them to play, and then they go out on the field and do exactly the opposite thing. It wasn't because they weren't paying any attention. They just didn't understand what you were trying to talk to them about. And there's a player now, and I'm going to say his name, Gareth Ainsworth. He's manager of Wycombe Wanderers. They've just got promotion from Division 1 to the Championship. And he was one of the worst players in terms of game understanding and intelligence. Yet he's a manager of Wycombe Wanderers. What does that tell you?
Stevie, you got any stories?
A ringing endorsement, that, if I ever heard one. I tell you, the most frustrating thing is when you have a player who can't do the job, you know he can't do the job, and you've got no other option. And you just have to try and keep helping them and talking to them and telling them. But you know that as much as you tell them and help them and try and point things out and stick them on the field and tell them what's going to happen and this is what you should be thinking, the fact that you have to keep doing that over and over and over when you have no other option is absolutely a killer. It frustrated the life out of me.
Stevie, you worked with Paul Mariner for years. That didn't make your list of frustrations?
I'll tell you what, Mariner kept me saying, if I had some complete nerd, 100% serious soccer aficionado sitting beside me giving it all serious, I think I would have jumped off the stadium at Gillette. At least when I was boiling over, Mariner could just throw a little joke or something in and pull the plug a little and bring me back down.
All right, Stewart, this one's first for you, but I'm actually most interested in Stevie's response. What does the panel make of Frank Lampard's comments that Liverpool are arrogant after their success? I think that's oversimplifying the comments a little bit, but we saw the dust up on the sideline and Lampard saying maybe the celebrations were a little bit too much after the match yesterday, Robbo.
Well, I think you can excuse Liverpool for the celebrations. It's been a long time since they've won the title or the Premier League or the top division in England. So you can understand their celebration. Obviously, Frank Lampard had a dust up on the side. He wasn't happy with the bench. He wasn't happy with Klopp. He wasn't happy with one or two of the substitutes. But, you know, he's got to put up with it. When you win the title, you can go and celebrate like Liverpool did. He needs to win the title, Frank Lampard, in the next couple of years for Chelsea.
Stevie, sour grapes or what?
I think Frank could have or should have just kept his mouth closed. I don't think he needed to mention that, because the only thing that happens is everybody picks on it and jumps on it, and even we're standing talking about it. So Frank would have been better off keeping his mouth closed. However, I would like to say that I hope Frank is completely wrong, because I can assure you, in my time at Liverpool, regardless of us winning titles and FA Cups and everything else, if there was a one thing that the coaching staff always said to us was be humble, and don't ever do anything that'll make anybody want to try even harder against you. So at all times, you ate humble pie, you took the plaudits, and kept your mouth closed, and you didn't act arrogant or big time Charlie. That was just how we were taught back then. So I certainly hope that Klopp and his staff will do that to the players. So I'd like to think that they haven't got too carried away, and I certainly hope they don't, because you know, there's a reason why. There's only a couple of teams round England in particular, like Manchester United, and obviously the Evertonians don't like us because of the rivalry, but all the other teams, and Robbo can tell me if I'm wrong, all the other teams and the supporters actually, I think, I'm not going to say they liked us, but they really respected us, not just because of what we did on the football field, but the way we were as a club. We were absolutely nowhere anywhere near the big time Charlies. And I think most football people really appreciate and respect that.
Robbo, what do you think? Everyone loves Liverpool, always has?
Yeah, when I was playing against Liverpool, we respected them. They were the best team by far. You never got a kick when you were playing at Anfield because they closed the ball down well. They were great players. But as a youngster, when I was watching Liverpool, I hated them. I hated seeing them win. I hated seeing Kenny Dalglish run away with his arms up in the air with that smirk on his face. And when I started playing football, one of the things I wanted to do was not go and kick him, but wanted to really get a hard tackle in Dalglish. And the first couple of times I never got close to him, so I was disappointed.
All right, I'll rephrase that then, Jeb. I'm talking about adults, not children.
Stevie, on that note, will Liverpool retain the title next season with ease, or will they face real competition?
I don't see how it's possible that they're going to win it so easily next year. I just don't see it. Listen, they've had two absolutely special seasons in a row, and they only won it once out of the two. So I don't see anything other than Man City certainly retooling a little bit, but getting stronger and playing better. I certainly don't see Man City losing as many games. As for the other teams, I'm not quite sure. You know, are Man United capable of taking that extra step to battle with City and Liverpool? I don't think so, and I don't see any of the other teams being able to do it. But I don't see Liverpool win it. I see them winning it, but not quite as easily. There's no way City are going to be so far behind next season. And you'd have to think that there's going to be some sort of drop-off with Liverpool as well. So those two things together, I think it'll be a lot tighter next year.
Robbo, you agree?
Yeah, it will be tighter, but what I have to say about Liverpool so far, they've had two seasons where they're two great seasons, but nobody yet has come up with a game plan to cause them real problems. You know, when the team's at the top, usually teams have a look at them. How can we break them down? What are their weaknesses? Can we, like they've done with Man City this year when they've caught them on the counter-attack. Nobody's done that with Liverpool so far, and they need to do that next season if anybody's going to challenge them.
All right, gentlemen, we've reached the final question on today's edition of Extra Time. It comes from a source very close to the show. You'll note it in the tweet. Thoughts on Birmingham City retiring Jude Bellingham's jersey number? The 17-year-old sold for, I think, what could add up to like 25 million euros, played just over 40 matches for the club. Stevie, what do you make of it?
Retiring his jersey? What number is he?
What number is he? 22.
Oh, who cares? 22, all right. Listen, if it was 1 through 11, I would have had a problem with it, but it's 22. Yeah, by the way, when I was a kid, I couldn't wait to be number 22. No, I don't care. Who's bothered? All right, good.
Robbo, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's a ridiculous decision by the club. You know, if they were retiring Trevor Francis' shirt many, many years ago, all the best Birmingham City players I've ever had, but a young player who's only 17 going away, it's a ridiculous decision.
25 million euros, Robbo. That's got to be worth something.
Yeah, not retiring his shirt. No, that goes in the kitty to buy some players and make the stadium better and things like that. Not to retire the shirt.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.